Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Global Ready Conference. I'm Chris Wyatt. I'm Localization Program Manager here at Smartling, and it's a pleasure to welcome you all. We hope that our conversation today will help you shed some light on what it's like to be a translator with Smartling. Today, we're joined by three of our many wonderful translators, Vanina, Bo, and Daniel. Could each of you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a translator? Vanina?
Hi, Chris. Well, as you say, I'm Vanina Cafuri. I'm from Buenos Aires. I'm in the translation industry since 2003. Of course, my profession and areas of expertise have changed a lot since then. When I graduated, I started my career as an in-house translator in an insurance company. And when they decided to close the branch in Argentina, they proposed me to move to Mexico to go on my career with them. But at that time, I didn't want to do that. So I started working as a freelancer. And this was about 13, 14 years ago. Then I was hired as a freelancer by a very important law firm in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, where I specialized in the patent field. At the same time, I work for different translation agencies and some private customers. And well, 5 years ago, I started my journey in Smartling, which for me was or has been a game changer in my career. Not only in the sense of the work itself, but also in the sense of how it makes me grow and mature professionally every day. So I may say that I've been working for 18 years in this industry, and this is my 5th year in Smartling.
Wonderful. Bo?
Yes, hey, Bo Koenig. I'm a translator and editor into Swedish. I've always been a language nerd, so to speak, but I'm actually a trained software engineer, and I worked, with web development, and then 15 years ago, I started translating as a side hustle to sort of keep the language part of the brain up and running and in good shape. And then I think 4 years ago, I got in contact with Smartling, and that's fit me very well. And after quite soon, I quit my day job and started translating full time. And I haven't looked back since. So I guess change is the only constant in life. So that's how an developer can become a translator.
That's right. And Daniel?
Hi, everyone. I'm Daniel. I'm an English to Spanish translator, and I've been in the translation industry for around 15 years now. I'm currently based in Spain, but I started my career in the UK, where I lived for 12 years. When I started my career in the UK, I initially held some positions where I was involved in translation, but also in international business development and marketing. And that's how I became very passionate about helping companies expand to different countries and help them communicate effectively. And then after that, I decided to focus 100% on a full-time translation career. I was in-house, like Vanina as well, in a couple of companies. And then since 2013, I started as a freelance translator. And I started working with Smartling, I think about 6-7 years ago. So I'm very happy with the collaboration.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to start talking about the experience of translating with Smartling. So I'd like you all to share with us a little bit what your day-to-day work looks like. So this can include, the actual translation work, some of the tools you use, your schedule. How do you approach the work that you do with Smartling? Let's go with the same order that we introduce ourselves in.
Well, my routine is pretty much more the same every day. I start working very early in the morning. As I have said in another opportunity, I'm a very morning person. I take advantage of the morning silence, and I'm a mother, so I squeeze the hours when my daughter is at school. My job is divided between translation and editing jobs. I could say 70% translation and 30% editing. I have used mostly all the CAD tools in the market for years. But as I have concentrated 90% of my work with Smartling, most of my jobs are done within the Smartling CAD tool nowadays, which for me, it's extremely friendly, user-friendly. And I may say it is like an all-in-one tool, which differs from others, since you can even contact the customer within the tool and have a direct communication to answer questions and help improve your translation quality. You can even access the TM, the glossary, you can see the context, you can download Word files to run spelling outside the tool, you can run QA inside the tool, and of course, open issues or leave comments or questions to customers or editors. Anyway, if I have to summarize my working day, I can say that my days are pretty much the same every day. They are full of work, and I like that.
Wonderful. Bo?
Yeah, well, I have I have very different days, I guess. That's one of the best things with working as a freelance translator, I guess. The flexibility and the freedom to sort of tweak the times and also the place where you work. And but the Smartling tab is is more or less the first I open in the mornings or whenever, or in the afternoons, or depending on the weather, if it's outside weather or not. In Sweden, you have to sort of catch those sunny days. So if it's a sunny day in the evening, I open the Smartling tab, and well, it's a nice. I really enjoy the fact that it's web-based and browser-based. That means I can sort of, if I'm away and there's an emergency of some kind, I can use any computer to see the same interface. And there are quite often updates, minor but still constant updates to the system. So it's sort of it's a living tool in a way. And unfortunately, most clients don't really use all the features that are in there, but I really like the way as a translator or editor, it works great to use as a tool on a day-to-day basis. And that's where I spend, I'd say, something like 90% of my working time as well.
Wonderful. And Daniel?
Well, I'm also a morning person, so even if different days may look slightly different work-wise, I always try to keep the same routine. I always start early because, first of all, I concentrate much better in the mornings, but also it gives me a head start before clients arrive in the office, and you start receiving emails, so you can just concentrate in your work. And in my case, it's the same as both. One of the first tabs I open in the morning is the Smartling tab. And that's the first thing I do when I open my computer. I get my coffee, check the morning news, and then I start opening the tabs of all the tools I'm going to need through the day, dictionaries, glossaries, and obviously tools. And I always check the Smartling one first thing in the morning. I organize my diary accordingly, and I agree with the fact that it's really practical, and the fact that it's online makes it so accessible. But at the same time, it's very fast, which it doesn't happen with some of the online tools out there. So it's very easy just to load very quickly and check everything at first glance, and then organize your diary accordingly.
Wonderful, thank you. So what is it about working with Smartling specifically that sets it apart from, because you're all freelancers. So what is it about Smartling that sets it apart from working with other translation jobs as a freelancer?
So the first thing I would say, it's the visual context feature that's extremely useful. And that's something I haven't seen in any other CAD tool out there. I've had to use many CAD tools throughout my years as translator, and I've never been able to have a feature like that. And it's really, it saves so much time, so much back and forth, because you can see the content in context. Because sometimes even a small sentence can be translated in so many different ways. If it's in a button, if it's in the heading of a page, depending on the context. So when you are able to see immediately where that term goes, it saves you having to email the project manager for context, and then the project manager to email the client, and it saves a lot of time. And also another feature I really like is sometimes even if you have a full context, you still have questions for the client, and then you can send questions directly in the text, directly in the content, without having to take a screenshot, email it to the project manager, wait until it's forwarded to the client. You just have direct contact with the client. They can reply straight away, and then you can see the communications as well between the client and some of the other translators. For example, a Portuguese translator can ask a question, and then I can see the question and the answer by the client. So it saves a lot of time and a lot of back and forth.
I guess that's one of the main features with the business model of Smartling, that not usually the sort of the project management part is like the gatekeeper, keeping contact secret between the clients and the translator, and so all the contact has to pass through that narrow gate, which is extremely frustrating, and it always takes time and it gets errors. But here Smartling is providing sort of the whole tool, so it's not as, there's not so many secrets. It's on the other way, it's sort of encouraging communication, and that's extremely helpful and very big difference from other, at least in my experience, other sort of more secrecy based agencies.
That's the biggest differentiator between other companies or other translation tools. I mean, for me, the communication we have between translator, between editors, between translator, editor, and the customer, and also with the PMs. It's the major differentiator for me.
Yeah, so kind of elaborating on that, what is, there's obviously there's Smartling, the platform, and there's Smartling, the service. What's your experience been like, working with the people at Smartling? Is that a different experience from working with other agencies and tools?
Yeah, may I? Yeah, as I said before, I mean, Smartling offers good communication between all the people included in the translation process. And that, for me, it's everything, because you need to be well communicated in order to produce a good work. If I can ask and I get responses from all the parts that intervene in the translation process, that's wonderful. And that's, for me, is the major differentiator, as I said before.
Yes, I think it's quite clear that everyone has this sort of a shared goal here, both the clients and the translators and Smartling, just to make the final product as the translator, the language, the text as good as possible. And it's very positive, and the people at Smartling are yeah, they're great. I haven't met them in person though, but they they look great on screen.
In fact, also the human factor is extremely important when working, because I mean, I don't feel like a number like in Smartling. I know that HPN knows my name, knows who I am, so that's very important also.
Yeah, I think all project managers I've met, apart from being very professional, they're really friendly, and that makes it much easier to work with Smartling. And you're going to get a good response. You feel like you can share anything with them. And I also like the fact that they're always looking at things, at ways to improve the platform. So they always ask for feedback on the platform, feedback about how we can work better, how our work can be easier, and they always try to see if they can implement that in future developments of the platform. So that's great, because it makes you feel appreciated, and it makes you feel that people are concerned about your work and about making you comfortable in the way you work.
That's wonderful to hear. Speaking as a member of the language services team, we take a lot of pride in kind of that human connection, and in really connecting with our translators, not just as numbers, not just as vendors, but as partners, in some cases even friends. So it's important to us, and I'm glad that it's picked up on your end. So we have a couple of questions that have come in. I think for this we can kind of do open forum. So the first question is, how many hours a week approximately do you usually devote to Smartling work?
In my case, a lot. I can't say a number. A lot.
Yes, it's I think some 90% is Smartling, but that's one of my areas of potential improvement, to sort of be better at logging my time. But
I'm bad at that.
Yeah, I hate it. So enough.
Well, it's good to know that that at the very least it's so abundant that that you can't track it per se.
Yeah, for me it's hard to track a weekly number of hours, but it's definitely several hours per day, definitely. So every day.
I don't feel alone. Knowing that, I don't feel alone.
Do you find the work that comes your way consistent, or is there a lot of fluctuation? How dependable do you find a Smartling as as a source of work?
For me, I find it very consistent, but sometimes there are peaks. Obviously, if there's, for example, a client that has a special project which they are going to release a new version of their website or a new product, then there may be more intensive work for that client for a while until that project passes. But obviously with the peaks, but I find it very, very consistent. So in that sense, I don't have any concerns or complaints at all.
Yeah, for me the same as Daniel. It's really very consistent.
Yeah, I think during my time, 4 years or something like that, I've been able to sort of empty my queue 3 days. Otherwise, there's always work waiting for me. So but I'm learning to handle that sort of stress. But it's always
Get used to that.
yeah. You have to, otherwise I'd be crazy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We touched on this a little bit, but how does the tool specifically compare to other tools that you've worked with, in similar platforms?
For me, it's like I said before, like it's an all-in-one tool. You have like everything concentrated there. You have the context, you can open issues, write questions, or also I do this many times. I leave like references to the editor for the editor to know where I have research or whatever. And for me, it's like a very integral tool.
Yeah, it also allows you to have instant access to all the reference materials. So apart from the TM that's all loaded into the cloud, if you need to access a glossary, at the click of a button, you can find it. You don't have to go and navigate all the emails or your hard drive to try to find an old glossary. You have everything in there. So yeah, I agree. It's an all-in-one tool, and it's also very intuitive. As I remember when I started using it, I learned quite quickly without having to go through 1,000 manuals and.
Yeah.
I haven't used that many other CAT tools, so I think I guess this is how they should work. So I guess my sort of my lowest bar is now raised a bit from what I understand.
The gold standard.
Yeah.
And I guess finally, just maybe some as a takeaway, how would you summarize your experience as a freelancer working with Smartling?
For me personally, it's been actually a life changer. It's been so valuable and very yes. I'm so happy and grateful, and yeah, it's great fun, and yeah, it's much better than I was thinking that translating as a freelancer could ever be. So I'm thrilled.
Yeah, in my case, I love working with all and each of the people that form part of the company. And despite that, of course, we are far away and in different local times, I feel close to each of them and always connected. And that for me, it's really very important. I feel respected and also privileged for working in Smartling.
Yeah, in my case, the same. I think also the fact that it's a company so based in technology, because it's a company that has a really good CAD tool, if not the best, and a really good technology, but it's a company at the same time focuses on the human factor, and it feels very close to you, very human, and that makes the difference in my opinion. So it's a pleasure working with a company like this.
We're very happy to hear that. I guess that wraps up our session here. I want to thank you very much for joining us today at the Global Ready Conference. And it's always a pleasure to work with awesome professionals like yourselves. And I was really happy and privileged to be a part of this conversation today.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation also.